Hello, everyone. Welcome to Four Checks Cast. We are your Four Checks, here to give you the most qualified podcast in universes. And it's been a bit of a slow news week. We kind of hit a lot of the big stuff last week, but we have had some fun events. Last weekend, everyone had their pre-releases. So we were going to take a moment before we kind of get into our favorite cards of TMNT and talk about the pre-release experience. So did everyone get to go to a pre-release?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. We
Did everyone do PvP or did anyone do boss battles?
I did both.
You did both.
Yeah.
So before we talk about the PvP experience, that'll take a while. Will, just real quick, what was the boss battle experience like for?
So first of all, I will say I really like Mega Mutant as a boss. Like, I think he's a little bit more challenging than the Critical Role ones, and it feels really cool having like the different phase mechanic that he has, where he transforms halfway through the fight.
Mhm.
I will say a lot of the characters are not geared properly for boss battles in this set, like at all. Some of them are just dead. Like April, all she does is give plus check to your ally card. She does literally nothing since she mills the rival. Leatherhead is dead. Leatherhead can literally do nothing except for sit there being a six-hander. Meanwhile, other characters that you would only think about once you kind of take a second, that are nutty. Metalhead is so funny in that because he just stacks his enhance on every single attack. So like I was hitting people for
damage station.
Yeah, I was hitting the boss for like stun 6 just to burn them for 6. I was
Oh,
hitting
that Metalhead, right.
Yeah. I was hitting them for like powerful 10 very frequently. It was very funny. One of our other pods hit the boss for 35 with one attack because he sat there stockpiling his +1 your next keyword rating.
Yeah.
It's
Rocket
very funny.
launcher.
That's
like
cool. No, I'm in.
Yeah. That was kind of the trade-off. Some of the characters are just dead, and then other characters feel really good. Like,
well, I think that's
Raphael
kind of
helped a little bit.
That's probably kind of ideal for the pre-release experience. Is that like different characters get to shine in these different event styles?
Sure.
Especially characters that may not even get to ever shine in standard. Like you are probably more likely to remember what Metalhead does now that you've had that boss battle experience than if you had never touched him in standard, because he's probably not that good as a 5-hander in standard.
I do wish we could do something for characters that are just blank, because it does feel bad. Like when you open your kit and like half of your characters are completely unusable. For that,
I think that's more. I think that can be an issue there. I think that's more of an issue for like the URs and SRs, and it just sort of happens. But it can be frustrating in boss battles. Like you pull the Ray Fillet SR, and it does like literally nothing in the boss battle experience. What's up, Chris?
Like you can definitely like choose a different character in that scenario, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I'm talking about like you pull the SR.
Oh, I know. It does feel really bad too there, but at least then you can be like, oh, I pulled the SR. Cool, I have an SR now. But
yeah,
like,
I know. I think Tam had kind of. I don't know if he frames it a house rule or is it like his own boss battle rules. Basically, anytime you have a ability that instructs the boss to do anything, if it is unable to do that because it doesn't have a deck or a stage or whatever, just all of those turn into the sun rule of it deals 1 damage. So like, April would just be enhanced. The boss loses 1 health because it tries to
better than nothing.
Tam is desperate, and I respect it to hell. Tam is desperate to make like boss battles a more viable on-ramp format. So he has so many of those house rules to just try to remove all of the feels bad effects that boss battles have, because they have a lot of them. As much as I enjoy boss battles, they do have a lot of feels bad moments. But most of the one all of us experienced was the PvP experience. What were y'all's so what did everyone play for PvP? Let's start with that.
I played April.
Okay. I saw a lot of people choose April.
Played April and Jinx.
I'm blanking on the name of the dad. What's the dad's name? It's not
Splinter. Yeah. You tried to play
Splinter. It's not Shredder. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Have you never
Shredder
watched?
Wasn't dead.
Wait, have you not watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Broberg?
Bro, I watched the movie. I loved the movie, and then I like haven't engaged with it at all, except for that in the arcade game 20 years ago.
Fair enough.
And I watched it. I watched some of the TV show before I knew how to read or like say words.
Right. So that information is like there in your head, but it's mostly gone.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
You all think that's more fair than I do.
Sure.
I'm a big Turtles guy.
I mean,
no
I like
weird
Turtles.
characters.
Yeah, I just don't I don't like to chastise people for not seeing something.
I do.
I can absolutely go. I have zero issue going, hey, you should go watch that, or you should check that out. It's cool. But like, okay, you've never seen it. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, I am an uncultured person in various dimensions. I am completely willing to take any shit for being uncultured in my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles consumption. I've had enough pizza in my life. I'm sorry, guys. It's who I am, really.
But yeah, so Splinter's the dad. So Will, what did you play?
I got lucky and opened like 7 asset related cards and all Donnie. So I played Donnie with
hell
yeah.
With 2 Mechazoids, 2 of the uncommon foundation that counts as an asset, a bow staff, and then the common asset or uncommon asset that draws a card when you build it.
Right.
And then obviously Leo's Katana because you get one.
Right.
Like that card doesn't do anything unless you're Leonardo or Donatello in pre-release.
Yeah, I played who I thought was kind of going to be the like one to be scared of, which was Leatherhead. I thought it was kind of interesting. I guess we'll kind of jump into like how each one played. I don't know what your guys' matchups felt like. I had we only got like 2 rounds because we had to start super late. I had the Leatherhead matchup where it was the mirror. And I also had the April matchup where April could not do any damage to me the entire game because she didn't pump damage, and I just would block 1 or twice and then just start DRing all 3 or 4 on all her moves. So
I played against the Leatherhead and it was fine. I was April. I won.
Really?
It's like hitting the discard trigger at a good time a little bit, right? Some stuff like that. You know, you be more aggressive. You try like, you know, maybe the Leatherhead player should have been trying to block more or something like that. But it's some zone Yoni. I had some damage pump available. I had some powerful things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to make it work out. Didn't, you know, it was a little strong, but like having to discard a card for that is a very real cost, especially in limited.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if they wanted to grip 3 cards to be able to do a bunch of DRing, then, you know, they haven't built that much. I can get a stun off, that kind of thing.
I also found that like I was kind of surprised at how lacking draw was in this set until I kind of played it in practice. There is not really a free draw, like a card that just easily says draw a card as a foundation at low rarity. The closest that's like free, quote unquote, is probably the commit when you block to draw a card. Everything else, all of the 1 diffs are like, one is like a bad destined for mainstream success, where it's if you name it correctly, you get the card, but if you name it incorrectly, it goes to the bottom of the deck. And then the other one, which we're probably going to talk about a little bit later in the podcast as well, is that one that if you remove a card, if it's an attack, you can play it. But there wasn't any like flip, you just get an extra card. And that did mean like one, yes, Leatherhead was hampered a little bit. But it also meant if you held 1 of each block zone, it was really hard to die. Unless your opponent was sculpting really hard. Because like you could
Which
just
is what April does.
get 1 block or 2. That is where April does have an advantage in sealed for sure.
Yeah, I played effectively 2 matches, and they were kind of like the 2 ends of the spectrum. My first match was I was playing Splinter. I wanted to call him Shredder again. So 7 hand size. My first round was against Metalhead, so 5 hand size, and my opponent was blocking a lot and also attacking a lot. And I was not drawing a lot of attacks, but I was holding 1 of every blocks on every turn, and like plus 1 other thing that I was either hoping to hold on to or trying to like guess that he was going to try to overload me on high or whatever. And I cycled twice that game. And then I was gearing up to dump my momentum on a powerful 3 so that I could cycle into a deck that had more than like 6 cards in it and also had almost all attacks in it at that point. And so like I was frustrated for most of the game, and then like the ending parts of it ended up being some pretty interesting like back and forth. I had a point where I was playing, it was the 5-3 powerful 3, and I could have used Splinter's Enhance to make it a 3-5, and then it gets 2 more speed when you powerful it. And I calculated I wasn't comfortable with letting him potentially block it at that point because he could have like a +1 block and be able to pass the block. And so I put him to 2 with that instead of get 4 lethal, thinking this will be okay. I can live another turn without getting decked. I also have a deck full of attacks now, so this will be fine. And that worked out, but it was like interesting and tenuous, and I worked really hard to get the 4 momentum to get to that point in the first place, and like I held on to that powerful 3 like my life depended on it.
That's
for
great.
the rest of the time. Splinter's character ability is really cool.
Yeah.
And my pool was like decent enough that I was playing like 45-ish cards, and if I was playing much fewer than that, I would have probably decked for sure. And then my other round was I played against in April, and I went first, and I started partial mulliganing, and then realized, wait, I'm player 1, I can't partial mulligan. I guess this is a 3 build, but it has 4 good attacks in it. My turn 2, I draw, and it's attacks and Leo's Katana I'm playing, in part because I have like 2 asset tutors, so like I just put it in my deck for a mid blocking tutor for. It's like, well, I guess I attack, and I checked 4 5s, and he checked a 3 on all his blocks, so I hit it like 3 times on turn 2. Woo. And then a little while later, I won the game by actually specifically I had built the put me into the card pool -5 damage guy. I tapped it on my turn, and then he went in to attack me and said, okay, I'll check a 5 on this. He did like he played a 5 on like an 8 on an 8. Hit it, kept 1 foundation ready, and said, well, hey, it's for lethal and it's pretty fast. And I said, I'll commit my character, untap my -5 damage guy, put it in the card pool, go to 2. What else he got? And then he passed, and I killed him. Nice. So like I sort of played peak universes, I guess. Question mark. I got lucky in the right spots. I got unlucky in the other spots. Like it was cool.
Splinter is one of those characters that I think one day is going to wind up in a top cut, and it's going to be the sickest deck when it does, because every time I hear what that character's like doing in a game, it just sounds so insanely cool.
Dude, he's so cool. Yeah.
He is fragile, so I think it's hard to play him right. And he like requires like a very smart ratio of like exactly what kind of printed stat moves you want to make the most out of his once per turn. But boy, I'm excited for the person who figures him out.
Right.
I mean, he's not like Hanji easy, but he's like I don't think he's that complicated. He's like Hanji easy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the deck build is probably trickier than actually playing it out.
That's what I do think. Yeah,
I was from Hanji 1 to Hanji 3. He's like a solid Hanji 2. Right?
Yeah, I was like, I can't figure out if saying Hanji's easy is Hanji 1 is easy or Hanji 2 is easy.
Yeah,
both those decks are easy. Will.
Yeah.
What was your?
How was your PvP?
What was yours like?
It was fine. Like, we only really played 2 rounds, because we had a bunch of people who kind of had to drop because it was like late on a Tuesday night.
Sure.
And limited takes in it like an extra half an hour for deck building and stuff. But I played against Rocksteady. That was a very unfortunate match for the Rocksteady. I think I still ended up losing. No, I ended up winning, but just barely. Because even when you take damage from Rocksteady, it hurts really bad. But not only did I see Donnie's staff for Breaker 2, I saw the foundation that gives Breaker 2 to a non-attack. I saw the foundation that gives Breaker 1 to something. I saw a couple of attacks that had Breaker. So against Rocksteady, I just had so many blocks where it was like, no, you have to stop now. Because you're also flooding your pool, and Breaker sucks for you.
Yeah.
And then the other round I played against Mega Mutant, and I lost because Mega Mutant gives any attack the stat bonus. It just counts the number of allies in the card pool. So they would play like a couple of allies, like they'd poke me, play like a foundation, and then play like 2 more attacks and just hit me for 2/2 on everything. But they also pull the the Metalhead card that clears your card pool and gets +2 damage for every card you clear. So I got murdered by that a couple of times because they were like, hey, it's now too fast for you because I gave it 2/2 after the string of attacks, and now it's coming in for potato damage because I cleared my card pool.
There were 2 URs in particular that were like crazy bombs when they went off for late game strings. Channel Energy was one of them. That's the Metalhead one.
Yep.
The other one, I think it's Momentum Shift that clears every card in your opponent's card pool and then gets like +2 damage for each one. Yeah, I got dropped to 2 in the Leatherhead game. It was very close because he ends on the momentum shift,
Mhm.
which is with my DR just barely has me alive at like
Right.
2 life. But it came in for like printed like 12 damage or something crazy. That card, I was like, oh, that was the one thing I hadn't masked for. Let's hope I'm not dead right now. That I actually think like the thing I had felt was the most respectable of PvP, and we kind of talked a little bit about this before we went live. I think like the attacks were very respectable, especially some of the commons and uncommons were very respectable for the PvP format.
Right.
As they've tried to do like we're not going to make commons and uncommons consistently constructed viable in the same way like MHA1 and to a lesser extent MHA2 kind of was having. We are building these more for like limited play or to be like easy French vanillas or things like that. I think they struck a really good balance with this one where the commons and uncommons felt really cool to play in that regard in a way that they necessarily would be too situational and standard.
Right.
The
The one that gets stats based off the number of cards in your hand, that felt like an MVP in limited.
the one that
Yeah.
got stats,
I
the
forget what it's
one
called, but it's Milt. It's like Milt 2
yeah,
gets
yeah,
+1/+1
the
for each
April
card in
card.
your hand.
Yeah, I had one of those.
I had
Um,
one of those.
It's
in
called
Donnie. I was
holding all the
Steel.
cards.
Okay, yeah.
Real life and Splinter.
Reciprocate,
Yes.
which is if you took damage last turn, gets +3 damage, and it starts off as a printed 7
Yep.
damage move. That card just ends games in limited, which is a real
Yep.
problem that limited usually has. Is how are we ending games? I think like get the horns as like a 3-low 7 if you took damage stun 2 is like a sick move for limited. I really thought that was a big win for sealed design. And I think that's one of the things that kept the games feeling like somewhat fast paced, somewhat fun, even though there was still your normal cycling you get in sealed and all of that. They gave it just a little bit more of that edge. So I had a good time with sealed. It's sealed. Our game is not the best sealed limited experience compared to like Magic or things like that. But for what it's worth, I had a real fun time with it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think, and nobody would do this because Kevin was postulating, if you want sealed to be like a skillful deck building format, you probably need to rip 8 packs to really make some decisions about and have a little more chance to open synergies and things like that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, my big pet theory is just like if you choose, I mean, like when you have 6 choices, the first card you cut, like that's skillful somewhat, right? I mean, half of them are probably just like you basic card evaluation. It's not that hard, and then you have like a spectrum of like 20 in the middle, and you play between 10 and 20 of the 20 in the middle, and then you ship it, right? You take your 10 least favorite cards out, and you make some margin calls. You may say, hey, this card's a little bit weak, but I really want a high block or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I do think with 6 packs, because it's what 10 non-character cards per pack.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, that means it's in a position where if you go to 40, which most people play a flat 40 in sealed, you are making usually there's like 10 cards or so that are just completely unplayable for your character.
There are usually like 10 foundations of 2 difficulty or more that do not have text.
Yeah.
And you play however many you need to do to have a respectable foundation count, and that's your foundation decision making, and that's it.
Right.
And then you really, usually, at least in my experience, all the decisions on picking attacks, and you look at the ones that are like blank and don't synergize with your character, and pull those out, and you have like maybe 3 or 4 attacks that you cut to make your. That's like the space of your average decision making for a deck.
I also
think. I was about to say, I think my experience is building this Splinter in this case didn't match that particularly well. I think I was actually about like I think I remember because I had like 45 cards, so I had 15 on the sidelines. I think they were actually kind of close to equally like just spam I didn't like, and it was probably like majority 2 diffs, but there were like a couple spams I left on the sidelines, and like it was about 5 or so attacks that I left on the sidelines.
Yeah,
because I was intentionally playing more attacks than usual. I think that's one of my theses is like I want to, and especially the Splinter where I want to be blocking with attacks sometimes. Like he's a trick for blocking with attacks, so I wanted to play more attacks than usual. But
I think
part of some of the motivation too of more cards. I can play 18 attacks in my deck or whatever, and not feel crazy about it.
Yeah, like my last handful of sealed pools have been like 26 foundations. You can cut like 2.
Yeah, kind of build themselves. Yeah.
I will say I had like less cuts than usual this time, like less decision making, because there are so many alt arts in this set, and specifically a lot of alt art characters. I pulled like 2 alt art characters in my packs, things like
Well,
that
it takes
just
the
got like
character slot.
auto cotted. Does it take the character slot? I
Yeah.
thought that took one of the
Yeah.
non-character slots. Oh,
No,
never
those
mind
take-
then.
Well, did you have 8 characters or did you have 6?
Do you think I was paying that close attention to my pools?
I don't think
The answer is
I
you have
suppose
not
not.
played with me if you thought I was doing that. I'm very quickly like, you know what, this is fine. Let's just ship it when
Fair
it
enough.
comes to sealed.
I mean, and I think big picture on sealed. I guess one other thought I had too is that like, you know, I was kind of someone in this headspace just because there was a beginner's assistance thread that I thought was pretty interesting to saying, hey, what do you think about sealed or whatever. And one of the things that kind of the equities run together, right? You have a lot of variance in this game, and you have a lot of variance in like how good your sealed pool is or whatever. But also, you're playing with much lower power decks than you do in constructed, and so like to win, you can't just like there's a lot of constructed decks that can to an extent play themselves, right? Like you get your nut draw and you blow your opponent out and you win. It's not incredibly demanding in that particular game. You can't really win a game in sealed easily unless your opponent is like making a lot of very obvious mistakes, right? Like they just like never block, right? And okay, yeah, you hit them for 5 times in the face and they lose. But like if you're actually playing a back and forth compelling game, like there's actually a tremendous variety of skills you can leverage in the game of universes, and a tremendous number of ways you can get lucky. And so I think like maybe the deck building isn't necessarily incredibly skillful. Like there's certainly still some input there. But then the actual gameplay, there's so many ways to influence the outcome of that even playing best of ones was I thought pretty interesting. And I mean I won twice. So
yeah. It just goes back to the core mechanics of this game are compelling, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to put a whole lot of lipstick on it. You can play your sealed matches are going to be interesting matches.
Is there a pizza metaphor here? There's a pizza metaphor here.
I will say if you are
one
good
topping
at,
pizza is still good. Yeah.
If you are good at blocking in our game, it gives you an edge in every game, and it gives you an edge in constructed, obviously. It gives you such a strong edge in sealed because there are much less situations where like fundamentals didn't matter. This move was going to be unblockable anyways because of how my gimmicks play together. Like if you are just good raw at the core mechanics of the game and can know the cards to hold, know when to sculpt and things like that, those really do shine through well in sealed because there are just less gimmicks going on. Right. You don't have Hanji 1 where like we're not blocking, we're not really sculpting, we're just DRing every single move and playing 1 or 2 attacks a turn. You don't really have that kind of situation in sealed. And I think that makes it really like in some ways fun. I would never want it as like a regional format or like the mixed worlds type situation, but I think it does make a fun once a set experience.
I could definitely imagine a sealed format that was good for that, and it probably wouldn't have like 16 characters. It'd probably be like fairly curated. To have like very skill expressive characters, basically.
If you want where the format I think is good for that, it's not 6-pack sealed. It's actually do any of you guys don't watch any Yu-Gi-Oh content, right? That I'm aware of.
Oh, absolutely.
So the best limited experience I have seen is a series called Progression Series, where they open 1 box of each set every week, going from the first set to the last set. It's kind of like a different variation of history, but they're doing a box of sealed, which is just enough that combos get to play together and things like that, but not enough that you have like 4 of every UR and all of that, where the really powerful stuff comes over.
So they crack, is it like 24 packs?
They each, so they do it digitally, so it's free because that way they don't have to pay for, all those boxes. But they will open.
The best field format I've ever seen would cost $300 per player to do as a real event.
No. In terms of like as a TTS format, like doing
the
stuff
roster
online,
CCG invitational
I think
format.
that stuff's fun.
Yeah, no, I could, with the right set, I could see an 8-pack sealed regional where you do maybe 2 rounds, 2 4-round buckets.
Sure.
I would never want it to be worlds. I could see it for a regional. I could see here's our experimental regional. You have 5
like try it and
ones.
see how many people are more willing to show up when they don't need to figure out the meta and they don't need to be like, oh, you don't need to own the $300 deck, blah blah blah. There's a lot of people that grump about that stuff and just like, I don't play competitive, I don't want to bid, and see if like those people come out if you have like a drivable regional that's a couple sealed pools.
I think they'll have a limited format region. Yeah, I think like the upside to 6, like at least for NA, the upside to having 6 regionals is you can afford to have 1 or 2 be a little experimental and be like, yeah, if you don't want to come to this one, it's not a big deal. There are 5 other ones that you're going to have us on the table.
Yeah,
This is
I
one
mean,
we're going to try something.
Yeah, we'll see if they repeat this system next year.
I
I don't
very,
get that. I would be a little bit surprised if they're like fully satisfied with how this year played out.
I hope they keep the count and I hope they schedule it better. It is weird that we get like 2-week back-to-back regionals and then like 3 weeks on each side where not 4 weeks on each side where nothing's happening. That feels really weird to me. If we kept the count but space it out, I would feel way better.
And that's kind of only happening this month, right? I guess it happened like late June and started.
It happened late June as well. It happened this month. There's been a lot of issues where product releases were like the day before a regional. It's been like some scheduling issues. The concepts are cool, but there's been a lot of scheduling problems I've had.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting more than 3 in the year, though.
Yes.
That's dope.
Also, a gap of no releases, which is weird based on how this year was.
Well, how last year was more.
Or how last year was. Thank you.
Yeah.
And how Magic is right now.
Yeah, it's.
Ooh, don't get me started on Magic.
I do really wonder if there was a challenger deck that fell through, because it really feels like there was at some point in like from June to the Guilty Gear release, there was supposed to be another challenger deck, like probably in between TMNT and Guilty Gear, that kind of helps stem the bleeding of us not having cards to talk about.
Well, we have all these new turtle cards to talk about.
Let's talk about turtle cards, dude.
Yeah, what a transition.
Like
Segue, baby.
For what it's worth, I think it's more that whatever we have is probably somewhere, for some reason, delayed, not so much dropped.
Yeah.
I could see it being something being dropped, but I would see it more being delayed than anything else.
Production challenges, sure.
Yeah, production challenges, issues with the IP holder, etc., etc.
So let's talk about the big thing that we really want to talk about today, which is we do like to take a time when a new set comes out, highlight some of the really cool design elements that are coming out. This is more about design interest and we're talking strictly power level. We're not really saying like, oh, this is cool because it's broken or whatever. We're saying these are doing interesting things with the game. And I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. It's been the card that on release, Will can attest to this. In my team Discord, I spent like 3 days straight theory crafting different decks that use this. I love Massive Mutant Machine. I think this card is sick. I think it is a design space we need to explore more. So just talk a little bit, rough notes on why I think this card is so cool. I think build around cards are a pretty hard thing to find in universes in terms of non-character cards. Like build around character cards is how we kind of build a lot of decks following a character strategy. But just because there's no searching in our game, so you're limited to a 4 of your card, unless you're playing a character like Pony that's drawing 1 million cards, it's really hard to find a specific piece sometimes. So cards kind of wind up entering this weird homogenized zone of like, we want things that are generically good rather than this really powerful piece if you build the entire deck around it. Mutant Machine, I think, really pushes the envelope in that regard, at least for a lot of decks. It is a incredibly powerful effect. +5 speed and +5 damage is better than Smiling Titan stats on an 8 diff that you can drop on any move. That's really cool. That's really fun. That's really powerful. It's also isn't a sacrifice for it or a flip for it. It's a commit, which means when you find ways to ready it, you get to do it multiple times in a turn. It's also an asset, which means, well, yes, it's a 7 diff. You can play a lot of ways, a lot, maybe a strong word, a decent number of ways to cheat it in. And so I think this altogether creates this really interesting style of deck where you can really build your entire attack pool saying, we're going to eventually find Mutant Machine either in discard or in our hand. And when we do, we're going to find ways to cheat it in, and we're going to find ways to make our moves hit for a schmillion and be near unblockable.
Just play it on a 7 coward.
Just play that. And by the way, I do want to say the coolest thing about it, it's not like it doesn't have a difficulty. If you are in a situation where you're not going to attack for a turn, committing 2 to 4 foundations to get this into your stage for future turns is not a bad trade-off sometimes. Especially if you're in that mid to late game stage where you can afford being a few foundations down.
And in worst case scenario, even though it doesn't have a block zone, it sure does have deflect 3 on it.
Deflect 3. I want more deflect cards. I think deflect was one of the coolest mechanics that new standard has come up with, and I wish it was explored more. I think the messing with Xaxes math is one of my favorite things that deflect gets to do, and I wish we could just see it a little more.
I've been outspoken about how deflect in backups is just like, sorry, it's peak universes. It's like the best shit. Just like fiddling with like making it the difference between a 4 damage deck and a 5 damage deck actually substantial, and making all the little bits of footsie you get to play. Like that's actually, it's just phenomenal. And I love that it maybe I'll actually like come up in a competitive deck these days.
I want to check because I don't know the ruling on this, because you can't block for
they patched deflect so that it works with
It's
They
before the damage, so-
specifically fixed the way that deflect works so that it
Cool.
can protect.
That's what I wanted to check, because I wanted to make sure, because I know that's why runaway, if I remember correctly, doesn't work. You can't run away for a backup,
right,
because it says after the block step.
Right.
But yeah, I think this card's super cool. I have a few decks that I've been playing it. I've messed around with like an overhaul deck that just builds it face down from hand, then unflip, or builds it straight with max overhaul. I've had like
That's
a
adorable.
Hanji deck.
I love that.
Hanji 2 unflips it with Falling Heel Strike, which is a card you would already play anyways. And then my favorite deck with it has been a Pumat deck that obviously his face
That's the
cheats it
obvious
in.
deck.
But on like the on air and with Chaos attuned, you get like shocking entrance to get it to hand. You get
oh wow, yeah, you can actually max out on abuses.
Yeah.
you get dramatic
Dangerous
slash
Gambit.
with momentum to build it in.
Yep.
Dangerous Gambit readies it or builds it from card pool.
Yeah. If you did want to play it on a 7 for 7.
If you did play it on a 7. I
think it was you had the analogy of this is a 7 cost card, and it's like another 7. It's like the female Titan attacks. It's like 7 cost card, and this is just a big bomb effect that you pay out the nose for, but then you get this proportional power level for it. And as long as the game continues to go on, you're now, if you make that investment, you're now super far ahead. You get this incredible bludgeon to hit your opponent with.
Yeah, like if you have one of these, it feels like you're playing a bit of Smiling Titan, where you get that Smiling Titan effect with one of these. You get multiple of these, it suddenly feels like you're playing Deku 6, where like you can commit like 3 or 4 of these on one move for plus 15. You have to be playing a deck that's really all in on cheating it out for that to be realistic. But I have had it happen in Pumat games, because that deck hella cheats. And also, Pristine Swordplay is sick with this card. You committed for +5/+5, you blow up for +7. Pristine Swordplay is a 9 mid for 19 with this. That does hella damage. So yeah, this was my number 1 card. I love it. I want more build around cards like this. I think 9 Titans was an attempt at a build around card, and I guess in a way it is a successful build around
it
card.
was. It's just that like once it's like known and obvious, it's not a cool build around anymore.
Yeah,
like, that's all that is.
It's
right?
like you need build arounds to be a sweet spot where they are viable, where they are fun to play, but not so viable that anytime the build around thing starts to go off, and it goes off consistently enough that it feels like an oppressive game experience. I think 9 Titans had that problem. I think like Combined Firepower is probably an example of a build around esque card that was like when we're talking about the Death Gamble deck specifically, where I thought that was really starting to push the line of like, this is no longer fun. This is just getting toxic.
It's fun.
I think that Space Machine is exactly what I want. What'd you say, Will?
I said it was fun for me.
Oh yeah, well,
it was really fun spinning the wheel every single
I
time
had
you
fun.
attack.
I did have fun losing the Broberg in top 4 with him.
Dude, like the Aaron's trial gamble that paid off, and then I fucking fumbled the game anyway. That's the best. Like that's amazing.
That game was so funny because like I had forgotten to build off of Weapon Clash for like 2 turns and kept being 1 foundation short. Then you hit the Aaron's trial and fumble with the checking the 2. And I'm like, oh, this was just the dumbest game we've ever played.
It's fine. Broberg never once remembered to build his stupid gigantic axes after he blew them up. I was sitting at home just like, Kevin, I'm gonna strangle you.
That's
Stop forgetting your trigger.
That was one of the most mechanically challenging decks
Oh, I'm
I've ever
sure.
played.
It
Oh, yeah.
definitely looked very like intensive. It was just very funny.
But that is my card. Does anyone have their thoughts on Mew Machine? I know I've been kind of rambling and talking.
Oh yeah, it's dope. I was gonna shout out to Fleck 3 if you didn't say it. So
Yeah, it gives me the funny story of Garrett played this as a 1-diff at the pre-release.
Because the 7 is so like kind of
Yeah,
awkward,
it looks like a 1. He's like, man, this set's all over the place. We have this 1 difficulty asset that gives +5/+5. I have this 5-diff attack that's like a 3-speed for 1 damage. What the hell?
I'm not sure how to feel about the fact that Garrett thought that and thought, I'm not incorrect. Design must have printed this.
that's the 6-time world champion difference or whatever the hell it is. So there's outplayed and there's outplayed.
Yeah, so that's great. But yeah, I'm also, I like a few cards in this. The card I picked is a build around too. But that's sort of, the highlights for me in this set are the cards that you look at and we're like, all right, I want to find a deck that plays this thing. Because like some of the characters are neat, but probably as a package, they're the current top of the meta, so to say. It kind of puts a damper on trying to build a lot of the characters in this set.
Sure.
But a lot of the individual cards are like, okay, wait, I can do something with this.
Right.
Speaking of your character or your card, Tim, why don't you talk about your favorite card?
Yeah, I want to talk about Fillet Fling, and I haven't had a chance to, I haven't got my product opened yet or anything like that, so I haven't had a chance to play with this yet. But it's kind of got the brainworms for me because I've been on a bit of an Echo kick. And this guy says you pick up your Echo attack after you're done echoing it.
Yeah.
And it's also got a little breaker on it. It's a 3/3. It's a response on play. So there's all sorts of things that have been floating around in the ether with this like face down theme that was like a little bit of Mina and a little bit of Deku and a little bit of stuff in this set. And now you have like a real driver to say like, all right, now here's how you're going to get paid for these face downs. It's not a 5 difficulty 2 check from Crimson Rampage that requires momentum anymore. Here's your 3-diff. And if you're doing Echo or you're doing other face down stuff, you can find different ways to get paid by it. If you have probably the first deck I'm going to build with Turtles is going to be a Jamie deck that's trying to do this, and we'll see what happens.
Sure.
You have double Fists of the Mortal Flame, Fillet Fling, and an airship. That's 8 attacks.
Yeah.
It is a lot. So something. Do we have to play Trace Eyes? Do we play like Acid Screen? Do we do face down stuff? Yes or no? Do we do some defensive? I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
Or if there's ways to like flip a card after you block with it for some sort of profit, there might be some like defensive flip cost cards that you can play and then try to pick them up with this after you block with it.
Right.
So just a really neat card. And 3 difficulty, 3 low for 3. Sometimes all you need is just like any 3-diff to close out a game, right? And so it's useful to have those in your deck sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought I undervalued that card because for some reason my dumbass brain thought it said it cleared the card, didn't pick it up. Well, that card doesn't. I was like, that card sucks. It just clears the thing. Who cares? It picks it up. That's so much better.
Yeah.
Sniping Spy had its day in the sun.
Right.
I think it could have a day in the sun again.
Sure.
Someday.
It's also worth noting, and this is like super incidental or like situational, but it can come up. If you get like bebopped, when Bebop's going on offense, you can pick up with the face down that he puts in your card pool. That seems really cool. There is a lot of cards that's like way to stop things is to flip it. Like if someone hits you with a condescending explanation, you're going to get to Fillet Fling, pick it back up, and that's going to feel way less bad now. Right. And I also think I like that you mentioned the Echo part, and that's the part I thought of when I first thought of this card. I think Echo has been in like an awkward spot where like I've really struggled. We haven't seen that many Echo attacks really sit there and make it into top cuts, and I've really kind of wanted to see decks that are enabling the Echo style gameplay more. I think Fillet Fling is like a great card to start pushing that direction potentially.
Yeah, so, and I don't, and I don't even know if like Echo needed a push like this, so to say. I think when people have built like Echo theme decks, they've been kind of impressive in different ways. the amount of Echo decks they're producing is just a very slow trickle,
Sure.
and momentum, the cost of I haven't thought this through, but I feel like momentum's a little bit less free now than it might have been in like the early MHA years. It's a little bit harder to come by unless you're a character like Mitch that's doing it.
Or
I
unless you have the
think
chaos symbol, you go
my
to
answer
1/5.
Yeah.
I think my answer to that would be it is easier on the chaos symbol, but due to the nature of attuned, if your character doesn't have chaos, it's gotten quite a bit harder. Because I don't think you have as many
I think it just-
3 symbol cards that incidentally have chaos and 2 other symbols that get you momentum like you used to.
I think a big thing is just that if you're building a deck around Echo, you have to tune it to fight Godzilla, and Godzilla is going to mess you up, and you're not necessarily going to get 3 turns, and so you need to be able to just or you need to be able to defend yourself sufficiently to buy a 3rd turn,
Right.
to ever spend an Echo, right? Because you get 1 build, you get your turn to attack that gets your momentum, and then you need your Echo, then you need a 3rd turn to Echo them, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's all the Rodans and the Ghidorahs and stuff who can legitimately full cover every block zone with a barrier shield and a lot of breaker behind it. And it's very hard to poke them to get the momentum going. Right. And so it's just kind of things are polarized. Backup decks, it's easy to get momentum, but then you actually have to be if I'm echoing a 5 damage move into 4 9 Titans, it's not actually going to get very far.
Yeah, right. And this is where Jamie comes in.
True,
all of these goals are aligned, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see a Jamie deck because it didn't convert particularly well in Louisville, and it makes sense. People aren't haven't practiced enough the deck and yada yada yada. I get why it didn't convert.
I think of it's a wide open spectrum, and you have to kind of have a lot of knobs in order to make a successful Echo deck, because you have to get a lot of decks in a row. You have to be very fundamentally sound, and I think it's just harder to find those than it is to find a Ghidorah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I think that's 100% the case. My thing has been with Echo, I want to see design get experimental enough that we have 1 broken Echo deck. I want to know where the line is. It will get banned, and I want it to get banned pretty quickly, but I want to see us cross that line so we know that's where the line is.
Just around the same page, 4X Tetra Terra Ymir has been a tier 1 deck for several formats.
I'm talking about a deck that is 12 Echo attacks, 8 Echo attacks, not just uses 1 Echo effectively in a way where it also doesn't feel like it really needed the Echo. Tetra Terra still feels like a solid card even when you don't have momentum. I want to see a dedicated Echo as
an Echo theme deck.
An Echo theme deck that really pushes the line, or a character that is really pushing what Echo can do. I think they tried that a little bit with the Critical Role guy. I'm blanking on his name.
Essek?
The one who gives a spell attack Echo. Essek. Yeah. They tried to get make an Echo character with Essek, but there just aren't enough spell attacks that do enough to really make his Echo ability worth it.
I should build an.
He's also very squishy, so a lot of people.
He's also very squishy.
I don't necessarily mean that's a reason to be unplayable, but it does mean a lot of people aren't going to touch him.
Yeah. I think.
Imagine I roll into Toronto and win with Essek.
Do it.
Do it.
Break the internet.
That would give us we would have a crazy viewership on the podcast. Please do it. We get to promote that.
We'd have 20 people show up too.
I know. For us, that's insane.
Right. As far as Echo goes, I've been playing Void Ryu with 4 Pale Riders and 4
Pale Rider
of the Hiei card.
Double fist,
yeah, that one. And it feels so good because sometimes you see at least 2 copies of either one. And you're
Echo is certainly underplayed, but you can understand. But it doesn't lend itself to, like Kevin's saying, it doesn't lend itself to the obvious deck building lines of It's never going to be a big part of your straight line to the fastest turn 2 kill.
Right.
Yeah.
It can be a part of your how am I going to win the game eventually after I stare at them for a year with Rodan or Ghidorah? But that's not what people think about when they build those decks. They just keep trying to min-max their defense, right?
And they did nerf the Jester deck too, for what it's worth.
And I think some of the problem that they've had with design so far for Echo, with the exception of Tetra Terror and to a lesser extent Double Fist, which is why I think those 2 have seen play independent. Most Echo attacks, the value is almost all in the Echo. Most
Echo attacks are bad. It's been cost me a spade.
That's true. But if you look at their effects, it's things that maybe make the Echo free, like Trace Eyes, maybe pump its damage a little bit, like the Nejire one. That's like one of the first ones we saw.
Look, man, I love Pale
sure.
Rider. That card's great.
Most of them are just like, we're going to enable the Echo.
Sure.
Pale Rider is one of the first ones I've seen. I mean, it does the same thing that the Jester or the Vexo did.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot easier to pull that.
It's a lot easier to resolve. But like clearing a card in your card pool is a uniquely good effect, even if you're not going to end up taking much advantage of the Echo. I do want to see us having Echo attacks that are doing more than just being Echo. And I think that's when we'll start to see it. But that being said, you start doing that, then this card maybe starts being a problem that we're staring at right now. To bring it back to the relevant conversation, part of the reason Fillet Fling is probably not going to feel too toxic is that, yes, it's going to get you a lot of attacks to play, but those attacks aren't necessarily doing anything. They're almost all in practice vanillas. There are just a bunch of vanillas.
Yeah, and I think a card that I regret not having thought of when I picked mine for today was Redirecting Push. I think this card. I think about this card a lot right now.
Right. I got clowns on Echo pretty well.
I sure lost to Faith Shield at in Louisville, and it's maybe an overstatement, but Faith Shield was involved in that loss. Faith Shield won that regional, and I think that card is super underrated right now. It's actually very good, and solving Echo is part of it. But you know,
and that being a 1/4 throw is fine too for offense.
Yeah, if you have Fillet Fling, now look, like Redirecting Push has got redirected back to itself.
I will say, and like the closest answer is Splinter, and I don't know if he's enough. If there is like a really good, particularly aggressive, all water character, Pale Rider Fillet Fling sounds incredibly toxic. That sounds like make your own pony on a character that gets to do other stuff.
I mean, it sounds like a way to win the game on turn 4. Yeah. Great. Like,
yeah, because you have to have enough foundations. I think you'd probably do it on turn 3.
How many ways are there to make a attack that is face down and still an attack in standard? There's unexpected outcomes. In retro, there's the multiple keyword.
The Mechazoids, right?
Mechazoids.
Yeah, the Mechazoids do it.
They're on Void?
I don't know.
But that's form speed. So if you're looking for defense for Splinter, that doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Right.
Big funny Splinter hours, but oh well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm talking already now. I've now hijacked Tim's conversation enough. Can we talk about Dream About Fighting?
Absolutely. Talk about it.
We got to dream the undreamable dream, or the unreachable dream, or reach the unreachables. Anyway, did not cook that Don Quixote reference very well. Yeah, I mean, I like this card. It's a 1/5, and I think so. Like, we can talk about polarization and about like variance in the game. And if you just raw say, hey, I'm gonna try to slam an attack off of this, it'll hit like a third of the time, and it can range from incredibly good to okay, depending on how good the hits in your deck are. I think there's some really neat synergy. I thought of this card as an exciting thing when I first saw it, because this is finally a freaking enabler for all of the Shiha Sakai from the like Overhaul's crew. Like, this is finally a card that lets you actually activate their effects without being one of those characters using your face ability to do this.
True.
And like most of those aren't like worth doing that for, let alone like it's incredibly expensive to stack your deck because stacking your deck is so powerful. And also this is necessarily, I don't think any of them had fire. So like it's also like a cross symbol thing. But to queue up the next topic, which we're gonna have to get back to later, like this is the power of the attune symbol, is that now this is the attune mechanic is that we have these weird interlocking things across domains that I think is just really sweet. This gets to what captured my imagination the instant I saw it, though, was like, okay, you can like set up a Tetra pair on a discount with this if you really try really hard. But like you can also just play all Mike's cards and play a Final Smash and then top deck any attack you want and then say boom off the top. There are a lot of other cards that I know some of them have rotated. I know Award the Victors in this space, where this is a like form speed draw, and a lot of cards like stack your deck on hit, right? From like Genkai's kit, for instance. Mm-hmm. And if you have enhanced speed draw, those don't have a
they never work, right?
Top deck an attack and then be able to find it. But now you could. And now also I realize a special report from the ultra rare, just speaking of 3 difficulty random pokes has an on hit that lets you top deck anything. So you top deck a 6 check, or you can top deck an attack and then dream about fighting to be able to play it. And these are just all really sweet dreams, really fun ideas. And then also just like this, you get to play this in Raphael and say, hey, listen, I'm really far behind. I'm going to full send my hand. I'm going to discard +4 damage, try to really put you on the spot. And then you're going to block because you can block, sure. But then I'm going to dream about fighting. I'm going to hit the dream, and we're going to spike the attack and win.
You know who dreams about fighting?
Who's
Big
that?
Cat.
Jesus Christ.
True. That's very good.
Oh, I got a big build. I got a build.
He can
Big
queue up
Cat.
specifically Angry Flurry when the frenzy is good.
Bro, he's so cracked. He gets to have a 3 diff that doesn't play at 3 difficulty.
Ooh.
You can
No,
have, like,
I like that.
15. You can play like 16 cards that are underpriced for their cost, and then you're just gonna always have at least one of them on turn 1.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I do think like I like this design space way more than the Critical Role Void one diff that was draw a card if your opponent has 15
Oh yeah,
more
treasure
discard
hunting.
cards.
Yeah.
Discard card. One, I don't just pet peeve. I don't like that card because it constantly asks your opponent to check their discard pile, which just eats up a little bit of time. It's just not fun. But even that notwithstanding, I think the idea of like we're going to start using one diff spaces for these sort of conditional draws that maybe do a little bit of bonus stuff in specific situations. Like this is removed, so it does a Shie Hisaikai thing, or like you get to play this now more easily if you're Wrath. I think that is really fun design space. I think, you mentioned Big Cat. I think Big Cat's one of the coolest ones here that this works with. I feel like I'd be remiss not to mention Singing Fish as a in this similar spot. Singing Fish is the one diff water that says form flip, name a card type. If it matches, add it to your hand. If it doesn't, put it on the bottom of the deck. It's a very similar thing. It's better because you can get a foundation when you want, but it's worse because you don't get like the remove effects that you might want. So it's kind of a similar trade-off. I think if they keep one diff draw in this design space, I would actually be substantially happier. I am kind of tired of the fearsome transformation world where it feels like so many one divs just wind up being free draws and not doing anything else interesting. I think us moving away from that is better.
Yeah, I think like fearsome transformation, I think is like a good like seasonal thing. I think we have like 3-year standards, like we're stuck with those for a long time. And even like I can imagine a world where that's like if we had AOT for 3 sets, they're going to do it in AOT and they're going to get off those symbols for the next three sets and like kind of rotate them out of standard implicitly that way. Like could be an angle they can shoot at some point. Because yeah, it's definitely the kind of format where everyone's always flush with cards, everyone's always got these options. Has a very different character than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Limited.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting where you can look at your hand and say, okay, this is pretty much what I've got, versus the pony experience of this constant influx of economy.
Yeah. And when people have less card access, Echo gets better, for instance. Right? That's one of those.
I keep thinking about a world where Passing the Torch comes back, and I keep going, let's not do that.
Dude, I remember I've had arguments with people where they say some card's broken, and I say, you're stupid. That card doesn't break the game at all. The game's way stronger than you think it is. And like, well, what is broken? And Passing the Torch plus release is broken. It breaks the game.
Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely. I agree with that. But no, I think this is like, it's just a value card, Dream About Fighting. Like, but it's a really cool value card. And I think it indicates a very smart angle of design I want them to keep exploring.
Yeah, you have to have a dream with this card, and you have to have a dream to either make it consistent or to just dream that you're going to dream big, and you're just gonna spike it on the table really hard. And the force of your belief in yourself will make it work.
Yeah. Will, Tim, do you have any thoughts before we move on to our last card?
No, I mean, as far as one diff draws, I was just going to mention the deck rare, but that is just a loot. Not rare, the common Teenage Downtime.
Oh sure.
Yeah, it's a one diff enhanced commit. It's reusable, which is really nice, but it is a loot effectively.
Yeah, it's a cycle one.
Yeah.
It's draw then bottom deck.
It's draw then bottom deck.
It's got some interesting textures to it for sure.
I do like that card, and I would not be that shocked if there ends up being a world where it sees play. I don't know a deck I would put it in right now, but I could see it.
Sure.
Let's talk about our last card. If no one else has any other thoughts, Will.
All right. Mine is it's falling or is it flying elbow? It's flying
Flying.
elbow drop. Okay. I for some reason I get that mixed up in my head. So it's the 4/4. It's response remove after you discard it and another card, at least one other card. You can play it from your remove file for the rest of this turn. Or yeah, you
Yeah.
can play as your next, or not your next thing, but you can just play it whenever you want. I don't like that Pony gets this for what it's worth, because Pony doesn't need new toys.
Unplayable in Pony.
I mean, okay, whether or not people play it is another thing.
Wait, can I block with it from exile? Oh man, I can block with it from exile. Never mind. It's sick.
I think
it
actually,
doesn't say a form. No, it just
I
says
think
you
it's
can play it.
solid in Pony because of the block. If you want another character, I
Yeah.
think it's sick in. It's a Burt 2 card.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not only a RAF card; it's a Burt 2 card, and I think that's actually kind of cool. And I didn't think there were a lot of ways to trigger it outside of those 3 characters. But let's see, I made a list. I'm not going to go through every card, but I think because it's attuned specifically, there's a world where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different cards in standard right now can enable this card and
Sure.
make it work. Again, a lot of that is you have to have a character that has fire and one of the other symbols on this card.
Hey, you know
but
what
I
you
think
don't?
It's really cool that you can do that.
You know what card you don't need to worry about that for? You know what's got fire? Latent skill.
Yeah.
Latent skill, baby. I'm in.
Or if you have the villain trait, Blue Flame Eruption just does that.
I like that one. That one's
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. I keep every time I look at that card, I go look at the list of villains that can play it, and then I give up.
Yeah,
Also,
no, like I
Fiery
don't
Stare.
think I'm really here for Dobby 3 actually.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a friend who, which one's the one that's like your you make your opponent make a check? Is that 3 or 4?
It's 3.
3.
Yeah. I have a friend who has been so building the crap out of Dobby 3 and is convinced that deck is good. I'm not sold on it, but boy, do I want to be wrong, because that would be kind of funny.
I mean, the Hex Foundation that gives your next check +1 when your opponent fails a check or whatever. That one's fine. I think that's very good in him. It makes him better. I don't know if it makes him competitive at all, but
Dude, Justin, how are you ever gonna beat this guy with Hanji? Every time he hits one of your backups, you lose 1 health.
True.
It's true.
True. You're right. It's tier 0.
Just has to do
actually.
that 32 times.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask something about flying elbow drop.
I don't know what
I
the
am
word is.
sure it does not work this way.
okay.
When it moves from your removed from game pile to the field, it is not the same card anymore, correct? Because it refreshes.
It should refresh, yeah.
I don't know what a same card is.
Okay, when it says you may try to play this card from your remove from game pile this turn, if it leaves and re-enters your remove from game pile,
Correct.
I was pretty confident. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't.
Yeah, like
wrong.
if you play it, succeed the control check, clear it, enhance with incubating to exile it, it no longer has permission to be played from exile.
Actually, what I was really thinking there is not like that level. It was just Burt 2 transformed, removes it when his card resolves.
sure,
and it
sure.
does it
Oh,
again.
yeah.
And I was like, I just want to make sure that doesn't work. I'm
No.
pretty sure it doesn't. Did
No.
not want to leave that out if it did. But yes, I think this card is great design. I think like they're trying to figure out, because they've had the issue with Feral Shriek and with Wishheart of, boy, when we say do something when this is discarded, it's really easy for that to be broken, especially if that card pluses you. And when you say you can play for move from game pile, that is functionally the same as draw and attack, because you now get access to that attack again. Not a good attack, but an attack. So like, what do we do to make sure this doesn't enter this amalgam of 15 discard cards are doing the thing? I think adding the second discard one other card greatly specializes what this can be used for.
And that's why I was saying that. That's
Certainly.
why that's what the 15 cards are, the ones that
Yeah.
actually make it work. Whereas you can't just go sacrifice for the cause with this.
Yeah, God, if this could be on sacrifice of the cause,
Oh,
I
God.
would throw up.
Why? It's +1 damage, whatever.
I guess that's true. It is +1 damage. Well, if it could,
Sure,
if it could
on any
be-
other discard outlet, I guess.
actually, if it could be on
Don't
order,
do
don't
this.
do this. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. If you could stun one with don't do this, I'd actually be upset.
Imagine you could do this on snack time. My beloved. Snack Time never did anything wrong.
Robert, you can't just drop comments like that.
What did it do wrong?
He just did. What do you mean?
You'd be surprised by what I can say.
Actually, in fairness,
I'm surprised too sometimes.
I do think Snack Time died for younger Togoro's sins. I do think if younger Toguro didn't exist, Snack Time would have made it quite a bit longer. Because I'm not wrong, that was the time it died, right? It was just because younger Toguro was just doing toxic stunt stuff.
Probably.
Yeah. I think so.
Something like that.
I think like I don't do this as a card, not to tangent too far. Like I think there are problems with that card. But it was made worse because younger Toguro existed, and I think that is why it died. Yeah, I think this card's just, again, it's kind of like a good value flow card. I like it though. And I understand flow is a word that has next to no meaning, but
yeah, it inspires building your deck in certain directions, and
yeah,
that's always cool to see from a set. It's kind of what you want to see from a set. If it's not going to be the characters driving deck building, you want the cards in the set to drive deck building.
It's also like a nice uncommon that works with the character. Like,
if someone actually wants to play Raphael, they want to get as many of these in their hand as they can.
Absolutely.
I would go from like to loving this card. If I ever see a deck perform well where the character's face doesn't discard 2, but uses this card. Because I think like the obvious thing, yes, if Bird 2 was successful, there's a good shot he plays it. Pony might, the lack of damage that Pony can pump might mean this card doesn't make the cut, but Pony very well could play this card. If there's a card that's just like, or deck that's running Latent Skill and meeting
Fiery Stare, right.
Fiery Stare to enable this card without your face doing it, that's when I would go from, oh, this is a cool card, to, oh, I'm loving seeing this card.
Right.
I could imagine a Murko with
I was just thinking
Stare.
about Murko too. I'm like, Murko plays enough of these effects and is happy to have a Fury attack.
At close range, right? Like the problem is that spending a whole slot in your deck list and putting a whole card in your card pool to receive 4 high for 4
exactly.
is not a good exchange.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you need something else to explain this. Raphael explains this by having it be 8 damage, which is a lot better. And then Murko explains it by saying it's not going to actually counter progressively. It's going to get out of my card pool, and it's going to help fuel the whole engine of the deck. Of we're trying to pop off with Lunity Harris at the end of the day, and so we need to get 6 cards cleared or whatever.
Absolutely. Does anyone have final thoughts on this before we kind of move on?
I'm higher on this card than I was when you brought it up. I will say that.
Yeah. I think to continue saying nice things about the turtle sets, I imagine we could probably have all picked 1 or 2 more cards.
Oh yeah.
Just for the sake of time, we can't talk about 20 cards. We'll be here all night.
I have to say, like, while I am not convinced on TMNT on a power level in terms of like, I'm a constructed player first and foremost, and I am a competitive constructed player first and foremost. I don't do as much like silly decks. And so like when I look at a set and just wonder if it's going to see competitive play or not, I get pretty cold on it if I don't think it's going to see competitive play. I don't know where I'm sitting on TMNT power level wise. I think there are some things that are sneaky good that will show up. Creativity wise, I love a lot of what this set's doing. I think it does have a lot on like a fun design level.
I got a hot take.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'd like a very meta hot take, which is that tier list should have fewer tiers. And I think the perfect number of tiers is actually 3. We should talk about high, mid, and low. I think TMNT as a whole is mid. AOT 3 is high, and we know it's high because we were all shitting our pants over like 5 cards in preview season.
Okay.
And people were like very confident that Peak was the best deck in the game now. And like these are symptoms of a card that is high, that is like, sussy. I don't know if this is a good idea to make a card this impactful.
Yeah.
I think TMNT is very clearly mid. And I say that almost is I'm like setting this up like contrapositioning myself against all the people who I'm hearing are saying, "Oh, this set sucks. This set is low." I think it's incorrect to say this set is low.
So I want to, before we wrap up,
maybe you're not saying it's low, but
I want to kind of touch on this idea. What do you think from what we've seen since MHA1, because that's what most people in the audience probably have a frame of reference with. From MHA1 onwards, what is the most powerful set you would still rank low? Because like Heroes Clash like sucks for the most part. Like we can probably
I don't know.
think that way. Because I want to hear like, because you're saying, well, this is mid. What is your bar for a low deck or low set? Because obviously Heroes Clash bad.
I mean, Heroes Clash had Becky Haymaker. I don't know. I thought it was cool.
I thought no, Backlund Haymaker's Crimson Rampage.
Yeah, that was Rampage.
Oh, wait. So okay, are Heroes Clash the booster set or Heroes Clash like MHA3? Because the funny thing with Heroes Clash was that the promos from Heroes Clash were like 15 cards and 11 of them were bangers.
Yeah,
the
starters had Prone to Dry Eyes.
Yeah.
But Heroes Clash had Pigeon Flock, it had Friend of Animals, it had Ojiro.
So what would you? So okay, so what? Well, give me a low set then. If it's not Heroes Clash, what is a low set?
I don't know. I mean, like I could go and try to figure it out. I guess.
Well, you told me
I don't think I have an encyclopedia on hand.
Well, maybe he thinks there should be 3 tiers, but he doesn't think anything qualifies for the tier.
I think there should be a low, but I think nothing belongs in low.
Currently.
I mean, Heroes Clash is probably low.
I mean, I'll give you actually what I think is an objective low. I think the Sun Jin Woo Challenger deck is like an example of a low product.
I can agree with Zach in chat. League of Villains is not great.
Yeah, that's where I went.
Put that pretty
like,
low.
League of Villains probably has the lowest percentage. If you were to like grade cards on impactfulness, and like the average impactfulness of a League of Villains card is probably the lowest.
It's like Vile Seizing.
Vile Seizing and Dual Needle Lunge.
And that's
no, I mean like there was like showdowns in that set. There's more than just that, right? It's not just 2 cards, but it is like a sub 50%.
That's fair. My brain completely glosses over Showdown because it's a reprint card, so I don't think it's
and everyone always just thinks of the ultra rares, right? But I mean the commons and uncommons matter a lot.
Sure.
Dude, I remember I was floored when I like looked it up and I forget what Reddit thread I was replying to, but it's like, yeah, hey, like budget deck builder, like spend $20 on a set of Dual Needle Lunges. They're cracked. You want these?
Yes.
And like, man, that sure is the second most expensive card in that set still. But I mean, I think maybe a more conclusive answer is that I think I don't like to think in terms of the fundamental attribution error. It's not that the set is low; it's that in certain contexts I would recommend avoiding this set. Right? Like I said, well, I like picking up some booster boxes at the flea market for $50 or whatever. And it's like, should I buy League of Villains? Like, probably not. Probably stay away from that one. But if they have Yu Yu Hakusho, like, yeah, send me the info. I'll like, let's
if you don't buy them, I will.
I'll buy them.
Yeah. So like, what's the low set? Well, I like in the context of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If we say, oh, this set is very weak, this set's very bad, I think you are clearly making several errors about a lot of powerful cards you should know about, especially if you're in the neighborhood of these symbols for whatever reason.
And I do want to give credit to design on one thing. Because I think like we've mentioned League of Villains, we mentioned to a lesser extent Heroes Clash. There are sets in MHA that felt like bad to pull
we have
from.
to go that far back.
Yeah. I cannot think of a set in the last 2 years that I thought in terms of like the upper end of its design. We can talk about AOT 1 being too cluttered, and I think that's a fair complaint. But in terms of the upper end of its design, not thinking it's that low power level. I think the lowest is mid power level stuff. TMNT mid. Critical Role's probably mid, unfortunately.
I mean, you have to decide what your scale is, right? Is it like what is the power level of the top 5 characters? What is the power level of the top 5 non-characters? What is the average power level of every card in the set? How many are you counting cards that see competitive play? Are you counting cards that see lots of competitive play and not the ones that see fringe competitive play, right? Like there's so many different ways you can parse this, and which set is better than what set's going to be different depending on how you frame it.
Yeah, but I'm a fanboy and I'm trying to justify my opinions and put down people I don't like.
All right. On that lovely note, we had one more topic, which is attunement, but we're already at a full hour of the pod.
We're sure going to still need topics next week.
And we're going to need topics next week because we are in a slow news cycle. And I think they're going to get mad if I start talking about Riftbound. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there.
Do you ever define what power level really means, actually?
Wait, what power
Do you,
level?
ever, do you ever like define what power level is?
No.
What does that mean?
But no, Kevin and I, instead of playing our match at the pre-release, I showed him Riftbound. It was fun. We definitely got at least one rule wrong, but we knew that was going to happen. Yeah, so I believe we were under the, in retrospect, silly assumption that, well, I was, because I was the one explaining the rules, that you have to either double conquer or hold to get the 8th point. If you do a hold and a conquer, that also works.
Yep.
And we may have played with that. We may have played around that belief at some point in that game.
Yes, that is correct. It's a really hard thing to know or to understand based on how the rules are worded.
Yeah, Riftbound has like 5 funky rules bits that you just have to like learn and understand, and they make sense when you think about them. But yeah,
I would love to talk about Riftbound, but it would probably keep us here for way too long.
Yeah. Also, I've only played with the 2 demo decks, and we wouldn't have a whole lot to say. You'd just be yapping.
I haven't played it at all yet.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. People want to plug their channels. We'll start with Tim because you have the most interesting thing on your channel.
Yeah, so I just put out a video yesterday, the day before. I'm continuing my series on budget universes. I'm going to do like 3 or 4 of these. This time it was about good challengers or other pre-con decks to pick up if you're like a new player or you're budget minded. And challenger decks are kind of a weird topic for budget players, because if you're not picking it up to expressly play the deck and you're just sort of picking up to collect cards, it's not the best rate in the world. It's like 50 cents per card. It's not quite as good as like picking choice commons and going getting those. But also, a lot of these players don't want to think too hard about like, oh, I'm going to go hunt and peck this card or this card or this card. Just tell me which deck to buy, right? So I kind of ranked in the top 10 pre-cons from the past couple of years. There's only like 16 of them. So like solo leveling got in there at number 10 to buy if you're just trying to like bolster your early collection, right? So that's kind of fun. And then also did one on common, uncommon attacks singles to pick up. I'm going to do one on rare attacks, I think. And I'm going to do one on, try to do one on foundations, which I don't want to do a like, here's the staple foundations, because I don't believe in staples that much, but we'll do something in that space,
also,
right?
Staples can be a little harder to nail down in our game too.
Yeah. Also, at some point in the near future, I have to do some kind of video with these, and I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be like. Probably some kind of game overview, but I'm excited about.
Demos?
Yeah, the Trails TCG. That's probably going to be very small, but it's pretty fun. So.
All right, Broberg.
Oh, that is YouTube / that is Satonis on YouTube. That's kind of the important part.
Yeah, I remain Build UVS on YouTube, at Build UVS on YouTube, and I remain not having posted a video in forever. I'm figuring out some scope ideas for peak universes that can actually be achieved instead of being an hour and a half long, where I'm going to try to edit it into actually being quality for an hour and a half, which sounds pretty bad. Not going to happen ever. So rationalizing that is probably a good idea. Anyway, yeah. Content later.
Content later.
That's me.
That's a lot of us.
Yeah. Will, do you have a channel?
No, but I am supposedly taking over the 4ChecksCast YouTube channel once Justin gets everything uploaded up to date.
Yep.
Which hopefully should be tomorrow or this weekend.
It'll be a combination of tomorrow and Saturday to get everything up.
And then I'll be taking over, but it's not like anything really will change.
Yeah.
Just maybe a little bit more consistency if I don't forget.
Now we get to see.
It's easy for me to remind myself, yell at Justin. It's a lot harder to remind myself, yell at
actually
yourself.
Do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yell at yourself to do specific things.
Do something besides ping Justin in Discord.
Well, I'll say, don't worry. Now I get to yell at you when you forget.
You won't remember to do that.
That's true. I can't even front. And then I don't have a personal channel yet. Tam and I are going to be soon starting Riftbound Wednesdays on his channel, and I'm going to create a personal Twitch to co-stream with him. But that got pushed back 2 weeks because I'm finishing my Wednesday night D&D game first. And
everyone dies.
Yeah, we're literally about done with the campaign. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give it 2 more weeks before I kind of duck out because I have other stuff going on. So we're going to finish that off. Then I'm going to do Riftbound Wednesdays. I'm also going to probably start making some solo content. But I'm making no commitment to that at this point in time until like I know what my work life is like this year. But I know there are some things like I want to talk about the demo deck experience for both Riftbound and Universes and how they were different. and both the strengths and weaknesses of both. So there may be some stuff like that on the horizon. Other than that, I think that's everything for everyone. We will go ahead and raid you guys over. Is Tam still doing his... yes, he is still doing his top 8 with Barlow this week.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
So I will go
Devil
ahead.
Jin. They had to go way back, or they just like pick characters for that thing.
All right,
Okay.
so
Or is the top
so-
8 errated characters?
Oh,
That would be sick.
no,
Devil
because
Jin is
Rodon's on the
trash
list. I think
somehow.
I think it
Oh.
was the best performers of Louisville.
Oh, sure.
All right, I am going to send you all over.
All right. The real question is not on the list. I would watch one of these people play not.
All right, have a good day, y'all.
Good night.
Farewell.